Welcome into Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for rolling in as we break down my perfect plan for the New York Giants as we round out the offseason and inch closer and closer to OTAs, minicamp, the preseason, and the real shebang, the 17 games for the New York Football Giants. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are almost at our goal of 75,000 subscribers. Only the people that are not subscribed can help us on today's show. So if that's you, hit that big red sub button so you get free videos every single day on your favorite football team. I need 49 real ones to show out for Big Blue. All right, let's start with my 5-step plan for the New York Giants to get themselves in a spot to be ready to win football games starting in week 1. I think they could benefit from going out and signing a wide receiver to this offense. Really, this offense in general could just use more playmakers. They averaged 16.1 points per game last year, and they are returning 10 of 11 starters. A big difference, though, it's no longer Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tim Boyle, or Tommy DeVito. It's going to be Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, or maybe even Jackson Dart. You look at the wide receiver position for the Giants, and you know Malik Nabers is a stud. Nabers is going to be a top 5 wide receiver in this league for an extremely long time. Outside of that, though, I don't really have the utmost confidence in this group. The Giants went out and they brought back Darius Slayton. Not the biggest fan of his. I like my wide receivers that are really sure-handed. Hopefully Slayton with a new quarterback and a new number, wearing number 18 this year, he could be better at catching the football. I do think he is a good deep threat, and that could benefit with Russell Wilson. Wan'Dale Robinson entering year 4 in the National Football League. The former second-round pick out of Kentucky. He's done some nice things in this league. He's shown that he could be a reliable slot target. I just haven't seen much pop from his game. There's been moments, but there's been a lot of catches for 6 yards on 3rd and 8, and that doesn't move the sticks. Jalen Hyatt, could he be the guy in year 3 that becomes a breakout target? Look, if Hyatt plays great, you don't need another wide receiver. But every time Joe Schoen talks about the wide receiver group, he says, we have 3 really good receivers. And he never mentions Jalen Hyatt. Then you got a guy like Lil Jordan Humphrey, who was okay-ish for the Denver Broncos last year. Zach Pascal is a special teams player. Amir Smith-Marset is a kick and punt returner. And Bryce Ford-Wheaton hasn't cracked the roster yet to be a wide receiver. So you could use some more talent there, especially at the slot position. And I'm looking at a veteran like Keenan Allen. We've talked about him a couple times on the program. I think the Giants could benefit, one, from adding a extremely talented player like Keenan Allen, but a veteran that could provide some juice to this room, and a guy in the slot that can win one-on-one matchups. Outside of Wan'Dale Robinson, you don't have another reliable slot receiver unless you're going to move Malik Nabers a little bit more inside. Allen, 33 years old at this point, but was still really good in 2024 for the Bears. If you tell me that Allen is going to join this team and get you 70 grabs for 750 yards and 7 touchdowns, I'd sign up for that. Amari Cooper is another guy that I'm looking at. Not really a slot guy, but a proven veteran wide receiver that can consistently win on the outside. He was really good for the Browns in 2023. Almost 1,300 yards, over 17.5 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. This past year with Buffalo, after being traded from Cleveland to Buffalo, never really got the wheels moving and got in sync with Josh Allen. But with a full offseason, with Russell Wilson, I think he could benefit, as could the Giants, from adding Cooper, who was once a really, really dominant receiver in this league. If you want a slot receiver that can just come in, put his head down, be a part of a room, and pick up first downs, Tyler Boyd is someone I'm looking at. Most notably, remembered for his time with the Cincinnati Bengals. This past year with the Tennessee Titans, 39 grabs for 390 yards. But a bigger slot, too, at 6'2", so you can diversify your portfolio of slot receivers. I've always been a fan of his, and he knows how to play his role, and he's good in his role. Any 3 of these wide receivers, I think, would be a boost to this football team. So I'm going to put the tough questions in your court, real ones. Which one of these wide receivers do you think the Giants should go out and sign? Is it the veteran slot receiver in Keenan Allen? Is it the boundary guy in Amari Cooper? Or Tyler Boyd in the slot? Sound off for me down below. After you go out and sign a wide receiver, you're going to need to create some more cap space. Not just to sign that receiver, but also just to get through the rest of the football season. When you're talking about calling people up from the practice squad, claiming guys off of waivers, or doing the things to configure the best roster you possibly can week in and week out. Right now, the Giants have just $1.1 million in cap space, and I'm not really too worried about that number at this point because there are so many different ways for the Giants to make that a larger number. They are going to need about $10 million to get through the season, so we'll see the moves they make when it comes to that. But 3 things they could do today that would give them nearly $40 million in cap space would be restructuring Brian Burns, which saves you $16.1 million. Restructure Dexter Lawrence, frees up $10 million. Or you could restructure Andrew Thomas, which would give you an additional $12.5 million. I don't expect them to do all 3, and it is one of those things, where you don't have to restructure entirely. So if you wanted to restructure half of Brian Burns' contract, restructure half of this and half of this, you can do that. Just trying to paint the picture that there's multiple ways for Joe Schoen to go out and create more cap space. That way he could be more flexible during the season once it starts. So sign a receiver, do some restructuring of contracts. Maybe you look into post-June 1st cuts to create more cap space, and then you should go out and spend some of that cap space by extending Jermaine Eluemunor. Eluemunor signed with the New York Giants back in the free agency period of 2024, and he was better than almost anyone would have thought. Not this channel, because we told you he was the best offensive lineman the Giants signed in that free agency cycle, and we told you at Super Bowl 2024 that Jermaine Eluemunor was going to be a New York Giant. That's why you subscribe to this channel. But Jermaine was awesome. And the thing that I love about him the most is, outside of just living and breathing New York Giant culture, bleeding blue, this guy is versatile. He could play right guard. I'll go even before that. When he came to this team, they signed him to be the starting left guard with Evan Neal at starting right tackle. And then Evan Neal had a setback, so they moved him to right tackle. And then Andrew Thomas got hurt at the left tackle spot. So you moved Jermaine Eluemunor from right tackle to then left tackle. He can play any position on the offensive line, and even in a pinch, I believe he could go play center as well. And he does it really well. I think he's one of the better right tackles in all of football. His Pro Football Focus grades this past year, over 63 overall. That was a top 32 grade of right tackles. He's a really good pass blocker. Not the most dominant run blocker when it comes to just pushing people and making running lanes, but more than serviceable in that department. Only allowed 29 pressures and 4 sacks, played in every single game. A versatile offensive lineman that can hold his own on an island is someone I want to keep on this football team. And he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And he's probably going to look to cash out, just like every single offensive tackle that hits free agency. Dan Moore just signed a 4-year, $82 million deal. Jalen Moore, 2 years, $30 million. If you want a 1-year deal, Cam Robinson, 1 year for $12, and then Jonah Williams a couple years ago of 2 years for $30 million. It is not cheap to go out and sign quality offensive linemen, which a guy like Jermaine Eluemunor is. And I think he's going to have another good year. So maybe the Giants try to get out in front of it and maybe give him a deal now so they don't get burned on the back end. But if you remember correctly, like I do in Hard Knocks, Jermaine Eluemunor wanted a 2-year deal because he wanted to test free agency after 2 years before he reached 31 years old, so he was still in the prime of his career so he could cash in. Maybe Eluemunor doesn't want to sign an extension, so he could go and be a free agent. But I think it would be best for the Giants long-term if they could nail down an extension before the year gets here. We'll find out. If this is the last year he's on this football team, I'm going to be a little upset. That's why I would like for the Giants to go out and give him an extension, even if it might have to be some of the big bucks, because it's a good problem to have when you get to pay players. People always make it seem like it's a bad thing when you have to pay players. I want good football players, and you pay good football players. I want more of those. I also want the Giants to go out and sign a veteran corner. I love what they did by going out and adding Paulson Adebo to this football team. Getting yourself a legit CB1 is going to go a long way for this defense, especially when you added Javon Holland as a safety. You brought in Abdul Carter and Chauncey Golston. So you upgraded everywhere on defense. But it makes a corner's job easier when you know on 3rd and 12, your defensive lineman can get after the passer. Also, the addition of Adebo, I think, is going to make Deonte Banks a better player. 1, because he gets to learn from a really good player. But 2, he no longer has to travel from sideline to sideline and guard the number 1 wide receiver week in and week out. So hopefully a boost in CB1 play in Adebo, and Deonte Banks a major boost in CB2 play. But outside of Adebo and Banks, I don't really have any confidence in any of the outside corners on this team. Maybe Trey Hawkins does it. Is Art Green the answer to our problems? Is Cordell Flott going to bounce outside yet again and contribute there? Maybe, But I think if you go out and add a veteran corner, that could really add some depth and really overall production on the back end. I'm not sure Stephon Gilmore is the guy that you're going to go look to sign. I'm sure he's looking to play for a contender where he could be a day one starter. We don't really need that. Asante Samuel Jr. is someone that piques my interest. Kendall Fuller is someone as well, as is Rasul Douglas and Shaquille Griffin, who I thought played pretty well last year. Mike Hilton, more of a slot corner. Maybe you look at that. But Samuel, Fuller, Douglas, or Griffin are all corners that I would look at to be our CB3 and continue to add depth. All football teams have solid starters. It's the teams with depth that shine through once you get closer and closer to the playoffs. A couple more steps to dive into of my perfect offseason plan the rest of the way, but you should get your Jackson Dart jersey today. Chatsports.com/Dart. This link will be clickable down in the comments and description. And while you get one, get another. Abdul Carter, chatsports.com/Carter. Both of those links will be clickable down in the comments and the description of today's show. No, they're not wearing number 1. That's Malik Neighbors' jersey. When they pick a jersey, which I know everyone is so worried about what number jersey Abdul Carter is going to wear. Once they get one, we'll send it to you, and you'll have a jersey to rock. All right, so go out and sign a veteran corner. And Mr. Rick, if you're watching, this one's for you. Hold a kicker competition, man. I am tired of watching Graham Gano, 1, play kicker hurt, and 2, miss kicks. Like, in the National Football League, there's no room for error. I have no sympathy for missing kicks. Like, that is one thing I will never, ever understand. It's like missing free throws in basketball. I just watched the Knicks miss 15 free throws in a game 1 against the Celtics. Thank God they won, but, man, just make your damn free throws. Smart, tough, dependable. Graham Gano is smart. I think he's tough because he plays through injuries. He just hasn't been all that dependable. Only 18 games played in the last 2 years. He's played in 50% of the games, and he's only made 20 of 28 kicks. So he hasn't been dependable when it comes from being a healthy player standpoint, and the production hasn't been there either. Like, I like Graham Gano. He was really good for the Giants a couple of seasons ago, but a couple of seasons ago is a couple of seasons ago. It's time to produce, and if you don't produce, you shouldn't play. And I think there should be a kicker competition. You have Jude McAdamy, who was on your practice squad last year, played in one game for you, made a 35-yard field goal, I think it was, and he made an extra point. Let's have a competition between Jude, Graham Gano, and let's bring a couple more people in. Because there have been too many games over the last couple of seasons where the Giants have had the chance to win, and Graham Gano hobbles out onto the field, and he plays hurt, and he misses kicks. Like, if Mr. Rick, a loyal viewer of this show, a long-time season ticket holder, messages me on Sunday morning, Marsh, I'm watching Gano get ready for the game. He's hurt, and he's not on the injury report. The Giants are about to play a hurt kicker. If Mr. Rick can see that from the stands, that's an effing joke. That should never, ever happen. Playing hurt kickers is a fireable offense, and the Giants have done that multiple times, and it's cost them multiple football games. Learn from your mistakes. Be in a position where you don't have to be reactive to Graham Gano being hurt. Let's be proactive. Let's get multiple guys on this roster and on this practice squad that we can trust to make kicks. So have a kicker competition because I'm tired of losing games off missed Gano hurt leg kicks. If you want to see the Giants back in the playoffs, hit that thumbs up icon. Our goal on today's video is 1,000 likes. If you made it this far in the video, that means you're a real one, and I appreciate it if you click that thumbs up icon. Major shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all. Video number 2 of the day. Only possible because you guys show love. If you want more Marsh, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram @MarshallGreen_.